Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, the sneakerhead of NY, and you are listening to Nights at the Round Table. What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the show. It is World Cup Final Sunday. We have Argentina versus Spain. And this episode is all about the World Cup. We're going to talk about my disappointments, what I think was maybe the best game of the tournament, who I think was the best player of the tournament, things of that nature. And we're not even going to we're not going to have any patch thoughts. This is just straight up World Cup action. So we're going to start things off with this. Like I said, it's World Cup Sunday, and in a few hours, the main event will be Argentina versus Spain. Argentina beat England after they were up after England was up 1-0, and then they just came out of nowhere late in the game to ice victory for Messi and Argentina. Ice it up. And then Spain beat up on France 2-0. 3-0, 2-0. Yeah, France couldn't score a single goal. But, the third place game was yesterday, England versus France. And that game was 6-4. England, at one point in time, England was up 4-0 at the first half. And, I'm saying to the boys in the group chat, France didn't come to play, man. And I wasn't even watching the game. And that's the bad thing about it. And which is ironic enough, the two games that France lost, I did not get to watch. I blame myself for France losing because if I was watching the game, they win. That's just superstition that you want to go with, but I think that is truth. The two games I ironically did not watch, they lost. That's all I'm going to say. But second half now, though, Mbappe scored 2 goals. He's now he is the leader in all of World Cup goals with 22 and Messi has 21. Even if Messi scores 2 more goals today, and he probably won't, Mbappe still has the ability to cement himself as the greatest goal scorer in World Cup history, and because he can get more than Messi, because he has at least 2 or 3 more World Cups in him. I don't see him not making a World Cup in the next 4 years, 2028. So he has time. But France lost 6-4, and it was the highest scoring third place game since '92. And it's been a while since they've even had 10 goals in a game. And it was, I was telling them, France just didn't care to play. I mean, they came back up in the second half, and they were down 4-3 at one point in time, or 5-3 at one point in time. Then they scored the fourth, and then England scored 6. So England is a third place team. France, who was pegged to win the entire thing, they fell off. So I think the game against Morocco, when they only scored one goal, I think that was a telling sign that you couldn't score any more goals against Morocco, then you don't deserve to be there. What's going on here? But they did what they had to do to get that far, and they just fell off. So that will go into let me jump into one of my points that I was going to talk about, was my biggest disappointment. They were the odds-on favorite to win this entire thing, and they did not do it. And that is my biggest disappointment of the entire World Cup. You don't have talent in every part of your team. Probably the deepest team in the entire World Cup. Second to Spain or Argentina, second to them. But you have people all across the board. We're not even going to talk about Mbappe. We're not going to talk about who I think is the greatest player in the world right now, Dembele, because you still have Michael Olise. Mike Maignan is still a great goalkeeper. Rabiot is still on that team. So you have people that could have done some things, but it was not to be. So that's my biggest disappointment. Now I have some quotes from some of the boys from the group chat. Shout out to Uday for not giving me a quote or a voice note. Like, shout out to you, Uday. My Nigerian brother, shout out to you. But my boy Mac Money, Cash, and JC, who was rooting for Spain, by the way, because he is a Spaniard. Shout out to Manny as well, Spaniards. I'm hoping Spain beats Argentina. I don't have any real gripes against Spain except for, JC and Manny, two of my closest friends, just giving me hell whenever France plays Spain. And I mean, of course, I give them hell too when France does things and Spain isn't doing anything. So, but I don't really have any hatred towards Spain. I definitely hate Argentina though, for a lot of reasons, and Messi is one of the reasons why I don't like Argentina, being a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. But I will say this though, Messi in Argentina, when I talk about the 10 things in sports I hate, Messi in Argentina is up there. But a lot of people are saying, and it's not even that they're saying, they've witnessed it, that a lot of things have been catered to Argentina this entire World Cup. Like, they wanted Messi to get as far as he's gotten. So right now, a lot of calls that should have went against them went their way. There was a game in which I think it was Switzerland, in which they gave a dude a red card because they said he dived, and it gave Argentina a man advantage in that game, and it was just like, what? It was crazy to me. So we're gonna talk about now what I think was the match of the entire tournament, and I would have to say it was Cape Verde versus Argentina. That game was probably one of the greatest games in World Cup, that I've ever seen. The way that they were back and forth, it showed and proved that they belong there. The game was 3-2 in extra time. But the way Cape Verde was just going back and forth, and I think the greatest goal I've seen of the World Cup was Duarte's shot from how far it was. It was like, obviously this is not a visual episode, so I can't really tell you, but I can say go on YouTube, watch that game, and you see Duarte's goal kick, not goal kick, but shot on goal at the 59th minute of that game. And it was probably, like I said, it's probably one of the greatest goals I've ever seen. It was just a perfect touch, and again, the game was just going back and forth. Messi scored the first goal, then Duarte scored it at the 59th minute. Luis Martinez scored it in the 92nd minute, and then Lopez Cabral in the 103rd minute in extra time. It was like, wow. Like, it was a back and forth game, and so they both had great shots on goal as well, where you didn't even know who was going to win the match. Like, you had no idea who was going to win that match because of how good each team was going back and forth. Watching that game in its entirety, I don't think there was anything that was so corrupt. I can't remember that anything being. I think that was just a great game. The back and forth, the ebb and flows of that game was just, one of the best things. And the goalie from Cape Verde, the fact that he's gotten such a following because of that game. Vozinha, he he's like the darling of the entire tournament. So many people are just hooked on him because of what he accomplished during that Cape Verde versus Argentina game. The amount of saves he had, and the difficulty of some of those saves, crazy as hell. So shout out to Cape Verde. You're on the map. Like I really want, obviously for obvious reasons, I wanted Cape Verde to win. But yo, Cape Verde, you're on the map. People know who you are, which outside of being a really good destination for travel, I've been there. Prior to World Cup, I've been there. But now you see, like, wow. I will say this though, this like got nothing to do with sports. But this World Cup has reinforced one thing to me. There are beautiful women all over this world. I just gotta say that. Like when them camera people was cutting towards like the people in the stands, and you saw them beautiful women in every country. It's just like wow. But anyway, I had to go off on a quick tangent. But yeah, the game, my match of the tournament was Cape Verde versus Argentina. I think that top to bottom with the dynamic goals and the dynamic goal saves, and just the way that it went into extra time, and then at the 111th minute, Argentina pulled it off. It's one of those games I was like, yeah, that might be the best game I've ever seen. Or no, it's not the best game I've ever seen. Argentina versus France in the World Cup 4 years ago, the greatest game I've ever seen in any sport. I've always said that. But this Argentina Cape Verde is definitely top 5 soccer matches I've seen. And I've seen a lot of soccer matches. This entire World Cup, as it is, I've seen pretty much every single game that was played from the first game, and I'll be watching the last game today. So it was a very entertaining World Cup, and we're going to get a quick word from my boy Mac as he talks about how this World Cup was very entertaining as well.
This might have been one of the most entertaining and the most corrupt World Cups I've ever seen. But as a fan, I probably still take it again to watch. Only thing I'm looking forward to is like a great final, and fuck VAR, and hopefully next World Cup they figure out that VAR bullshit. Still make it and keep it entertaining.
So yeah, that's that. One of my biggest surprises, like one of the surprising games was a game with Belgium. Not the Spain game, but let me pull up the Google's Belgium World Cup games. 3 hours later. So Belgium versus Senegal, man. That game right there. Senegal was up 2-0. 2-0. And Belgium just out of nowhere roared back and just clipped them. I remember I was watching that game with my cousin. We was at this bar watching the game, and I came in while Belgium was already up 2-0. He had left before me. He went to the bar. He told me where to meet him at. Shout out to my cousin Deshaun. Or Rashawn. I'm sorry, Rashawn. And Derek, as my daughter will call him. But anyway, yeah, he was watching the game. So then we got there. I've always said that in this World Cup, you got to score 3 goals to be comfortable. Like for a win. You can't score 2 goals and think, all right, cool. You can't score 1 goal and think, all right, cool. The way these players are scoring goals is just remarkable. So the biggest, for me, the fact that you have to score 3 goals just means that you gotta be like on point, because if you don't score 3 goals, your defense better be the best in the world. And I think the only team that had some great defense was Spain, because I think they've only conceded 1 goal all tournament, and that was the game against England. No, that was the game before France. I mean, they got there. That's the only game they gave up a goal. But Belgium coming back and being Senegal was just like, wow. It wasn't for me, that wasn't like a great game or anything like that. It was a good game, but it was one of those games that was just like, damn, bro. I think one of the biggest surprise teams of the entire Cup was Mexico. One of the host nations. They were killing. They came out there going crazy, and Mexico played very well. Let me look at Mexico's World Cup games. I forgot the game that they played and who they played against, where it was just like, wow. Yeah, it might have been an England game. Oh no, but I know that the game against Ecuador was pretty good too. So that's the game I was looking at. I was like, wow, like wow, y'all really are impressing me. And that was after like a major rain delay, if I'm not mistaken. But then when they lost to England 3-2, I was like, wow. And they weren't giving up any goals either. Their defense was impeccable. But then they finally, conceded a goal to England. And I want to say England, man, like, even though they got the third place win, they really could have won this whole thing. They really could have won this entire tournament. The way England played in this last game and the way that they could have beaten Argentina, they really could have won this whole thing, because from Jude Bellingham to Harry Kane to Declan Rice, like, they have players, bro. And it's like their strategy failed them. Their strategy failed them miserably, and it's just like, y'all could have avoided all of that, but they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which is just terrible, man. It just sucks for them. But they're probably one of my biggest disappointments as well. Portugal, not in it. They lost after a while. Brazil lost. I think one of my biggest controversies in the entire World Cup was with America, when Balogun. Oh, I forgot homie name. Like, I forgot how to even pronounce it. Let me see, what's homie name? Christian Pulisic. Oh yeah, Folarin Balogun. I forgot to pronounce homie name. Like, y'all gotta forgive me for that one. But when the thing was him, but he got the red card, and then when a certain somebody had to intervene and get the FIFA association to remove that red card, I think Belgium took that personally. I think it really did serve as a distraction, because it's just like, yo, how does this guy out of nowhere just get FIFA to remove this kid's red card and allow him to play, whether it was a foul or not, for the fact that they did not, for the fact that they let it, I can't say that they let it do anything, but for the fact that they allow this person to dictate what FIFA does, and never in the World Cup itself did that ever happen, which a call was reversed. It's just terrible for that to happen. And a lot of people are saying, because of the circus that came up from that, this is why United States lost. I'll say this, like, my order of who I wanted to see win: France won, USA second, Portugal third because of Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, of me, I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo fan. Fourth was England, and fifth would have been like any Cinderella team. I think that's just how the order of I wanted it to go. I didn't want to see Spain win for obvious reasons. Didn't want to see Argentina win for obvious reasons. I wouldn't have mind to see Erling Haaland, in Norway win. I think that man is a machine. I think one takeaway we could take away from the World Cup is that the United States, they're not quite ready for the big stage. They have players that can, but when it's really time to shine bright, they're not ready for it. They're not there yet. I would have loved for them to win it, though. Don't get it twisted. Like, I think the last time America won, America, it'd have been good for America too, because obviously 250 years of America being independent. It would have been perfect for them to possibly win it, but it wasn't for so. But that Pulisic is going to come back and play well. Balogun is going to come back and play well. Fonzo McKinney is going to play well. He's going to do his thing as well. But overall, to me, it was an super exciting World Cup. I'm glad that, shout out to Cash for mentioning that and you're gonna hear his quotes in a second, but shout out to my boy Cash. They were in the World Cups prior that, in the group chat that I'm in, Cash was the one that didn't speak the most. And I'm not saying that he didn't understand soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, but he, as he's going to allude to, he got into it this year because of his kids. His son loves soccer. His son loves Cristiano Ronaldo. He's raising a good son. I'm just letting you know. Shout out to you, Cash. But he really got into it, and it was just so refreshing to see him, even like calling us out for not watching certain games, or the group chat being dry when we're not mentioning anything about a particular game. I feel like he watched every single game this year too. I think from the first to the last game today, he's watched every single game, I feel like, or as many games as he can while he's been able to watch it. But I think this year was a little bit more enjoyable because of the fact that Kashif, the homie Cash, was able to partake in a lot of the conversation.
This World Cup has been my favorite by far. My sons have started playing soccer, so I've become more engaged in learning about the sport, and I've really seen the beauty in it. Between that and having it hosted in the United States has made just watching this World Cup truly enjoyable. Some of my favorite things about this World Cup is that it's the first one I've been able to watch with my sons. Seeing them get into it and get excited about it for the first time, it has been really special. The other thing I'll say is just talking shit with the boys in the group chat during the matches. Those have been hilarious and made it even more enjoyable to watch.
I just think the unity and the brotherhood that we all have for watching the games is just super amazing. And I think that's what made this World Cup a little bit more enjoyable for me, because of who I was, the banter that I was watching it with the people I was watching it with. And then also in the backyard, I was out back. Neighbors came through. He's watching some of the games as well. Like, I was watching games from start to finish. At one point in time during the NBA Finals, we had one TV with the NBA Finals, and we had another TV in the backyard watching the Haiti game, because shout out to Duvy, he's Haitian, and shout out to Papa Gene, which is Duvey's dad. We're all watching, the NBA Finals and the World Cup at the same time, watching that Haiti game. And it was just like, it was an experience. It was such an experience watching these soccer games this year. I thought it was just amazing. I think my favorite player of the entire tournament, I may have to give it to, I found myself, aside from this last game, rooting for Jude Bellingham a lot. Obviously, I love Harry Kane. The man's amazing. But I found myself rooting, like, outside of France, because I'm going to root for everybody France, any Frenchman, I'm going to root for them. But I think, like I said, the player that I rooted for the most this World Cup was Jude Bellingham. Obviously I have ties in England. I have a lot of family out there from London, England, and I wanted England to do something, and they got third place again on the expense of my favorite team, my team. Like I said, overall, it was such an enjoyable experience. Our final quote of the day comes from my boy JC. He speaks about he alludes to the final about the final game today and what it took to get there. So let's hear that real quick.
Could it be that the most corrupt organization in the world has organized to have the champion of Europe and the champion of South America face each other in the final of the World Cup because the original match had been canceled? And if so, how did they accomplish this with so many teams in this World Cup?
So, again, my overall experience was just amazing. I thought this was one of the most entertaining World Cups. A lot of these games just went down to the wire. Even some of the games where there were blowouts, when it came to a blowout towards the end of the game, like it was 1-1, and then one team finally just, had a breakthrough, those games were dope. as well. So I will give this World Cup an A, even though, my France team is not winning it. They won 8 years ago when Mbappe was a kid. He took the world by storm. He's still one of the best players in the league, but I think it's time for Yamin Lamar. I think it's his time now, and all the other young players that's out there. I don't think we'll see another Lukaku. I don't think he's 33 right now. I don't think maybe he'll play when he's 37. Who knows? We've definitely seen the last of Cristiano Ronaldo. We've seen the last of Neymar. And after this game against Argentina and Spain, we may see the last of Lionel Messi in the World Cup. Thank God for that. I think one of the biggest things, too, the interviewers, Thierry Henry, which is my favorite player by far, not named Cristiano Ronaldo. He's the reason why I'm into France. Him and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the way they was just coming at Alexi Lawless, like, it's crazy, man. Like, they can't stand Alexi Lawless. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, Alexi Lawless has no business being on that panel with two of the greatest international players in football history, man. Like, he's a decent player, but for him to be on a panel with Thierry Henry and Zlatan Ibrahimovic is just, it's night and day, bro. As far as how they talk about the game, total night and day. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, the Sneakerhead NY, and next episode we're going to talk about the 10 things in sports I hate. I know I've been holding on to that episode for a little while, but I wanted to give the World Cup its proper respect, and let's put a bow on this one, and let's get ready for the World Cup final with Spain versus Argentina. May the best team win. Yo, you behind the boards. Fade us out. Peace.
At the round table.
This copyrighted broadcast of the Knights at the Round Table podcast was transmitted, produced, broadcast, and used in many forms without the express written consent of the song authors. We do not own any of these audio tracks, and we want to give full credit and say thank you to all the rightful owners. We do not condone piracy, and we encourage you to seek permission first before distributing our show. Simply put, we don't want to get sued. Thank you.